All right, good evening, October 3rd at 6 p.m. Calling the School Board Operations Committee to order. First item before we get to call of order, we have Shawnee McGowan. Are you there remotely?
Can you say that again?
Shawnee McGowan, is that your name? Okay. Shawnee, you are unable to attend the meeting physically tonight, correct?
Correct.
And can you please state who is present in your room during the meeting? Apparently we got that covered. State that again?
Just my 2-year-old toddler.
Okay, there's no one else in the room during the meeting?
No one else is in the house.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Shawnee.
Roll call.
Oh, thank you. So just so everybody's aware, everything will be a roll call vote here tonight. So just be patient with us. With that said, Shannon, can you please just do attendance?
Yes. Member Bollier?
Here?
Member Cusimano?
Here.
Member Bellows?
Present.
Member Kamiri? Member Downs?
Here.
Member Harrington?
Here.
Member McGowan?
Here.
All right, please rise if you're able to for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Article D, consent of agenda. Look for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cusimano, second by Mrs. Harrington. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Member Bollier?
Yes.
Member Cusimano?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Kamiri? Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
All right, moving to general business, we have administrative update. Item AI1, it's back in our backup, is naming of the new elementary school. I'll hand this over to Superintendent Mazzarella.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to let everyone know that this is the letter that will be going out to our school community as well as our community partners. It's part of our policy procedures, and what we'll be doing is, once we get the names in, which will be due October 18th, from our school community and our community partners, we will be presenting those to our Educator Advisory Council, which is sometime in the 3rd week of October. We also have a Superintendent Student Advisory Council that will be reviewing the names, as well as our Family and Community Engagement Roundtable on October 24th. And at that point, we will present in the November Operations Committee our top 3 names for the Operations Committee to choose one that we'll present to the full board during the November meeting.
For discussion by the committee. Mr. Bellows.
I read through the policy and I didn't see anything that said that we have to name a new building after a person. So can we amend the letter to also reflect that people could suggest names that aren't the names of people?
Absolutely.
It's a good suggestion. Mr. Downs.
Is there any reason we're keeping it just a 3 to bring to operations? Or I wouldn't mind seeing like even a chart of where, where people, obviously the community is, we're gonna obviously base our decisions on the most, what the community would like. That's obviously why they put us here, but I wouldn't mind just seeing everything that was presented, that was put out there.
So just to understand what you're asking for is, though the
Like, just
district's
like a-
gonna
like a
bring
draft, like
the
a
top
draft.
3, but you wanna
Yeah.
see all names that were
Yeah,
offered.
yeah, exactly.
Is that
Yeah,
fair?
like something like, I'm just curious what people are thinking out there.
Yeah.
That's all.
Does that make sense? to you?
Absolutely.
But obviously, we'd like to see that the top 3 make sense
Yeah,
for us to.
here's the top 3 districts offering, but here's everything that was presented.
Right.
And I do like,
Submitted.
I agree with
And not just
Mr. Bellows, is there's a lot of history in the city.
Any other, yes, Mr. Bellows.
Just one more. If, seeing as we might be discussing people, would there be any portion of this discussion that would happen in a non-public, or would we be making this decision in public session?
Thank you for that. We actually can go to non-public for this.
Thank you.
At that time, when we do, please bring the RSA that's relevant.
Absolutely, it's in our policy.
Perfect. I'll still need the reference. Okay, I know that there was brief conversation about colors and mascot, though it's not purview technically of the board. It would be brought forward from the district. JBC will be making the color recommendations. And though usually it's a building level decision on what the mascot is, but I think it's good that they bring it forward to the full board, or this committee for review. You know, so that we don't have like the twig of Santa Falls Road or something like that. Something
If
relevant.
I may respond to that too
Yes,
as well.
please.
There were two colors that were chosen, which are purple and white. They're the only colors that have not, none of the schools have purple and white, that was one. And then we had made a suggestion, Dr. Mahoney and I spoke, and we thought that we could bring to the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, like what mascots they're thinking, you know, and also if they could draw the mascot to really include some student voice in that. And that would happen this month, because I do know from JVC that needs to be decided relatively soon.
Very good. Mr. Jones, you had your
No,
hand very
I
good.
think she just, yeah, we're good.
Just making sure, Sean, okay, Mr. Pappas.
Just curious, are we allowing kids at that school to make the choice of their own mascot, or was it other kids that are making the choice?
Well, because we have the district team, we don't quite know which students would be part of Salmon Falls. And so we already have a superintendent student advisory council in the high school that is beginning, it's actually launching on October 21. So we thought of having them be part of it, even once the mascot is chosen, having them, you know, potentially make some drawings of what it could look like. But
Okay.
because of the redistricting, we wouldn't know which students would be part of Salmon Falls.
Is it, if I may, is it necessary to choose a mascot before it opens so we can allow the kids who are actually attending the school to choose?
We were told by, I don't recall, Member Harrington, we were told that the colors and the mascot do need to be chosen by November.
If I may ask, why must the mascot be chosen that soon?
Signage, Chair.
Yeah.
Signage or the gymnasium, if there's gonna be a emblem representing the mascot and for signage.
And I think sorry, Chair, I think we also had to make decisions on like the flooring and some of the things that they might be doing designs as per the mascot by this November's meeting.
Colors I understand, it's just the mascot. I think we should let the kids who attend it choose.
Back to Mr. Jones.
No, I understand where Matt's coming from, but I do agree that waiting last minute is not the best choice, I think. And the way that I think the superintendent has it set up, I think that's the best way to move forward without having any people in the school.
I think you're
Roughly a year and a half ago at my, where I was, it was a 4-month wait time for the actual mascot. If you were wanted to order some sort of uniform costume or develop something, and if you wanted it for the opening of the school, it would be best if we made that decision sooner.
Mr. Fellows?
I'm with Mr. Pappas on this one. I think you're starting a culture from scratch, and you have a great opportunity to let the kids who are part of that inaugural class of students play a role in what's going to become the history of that school, and we're totally cutting that man, the staff, out of that process. I do understand the color, but this is an elementary school. We don't need to have a colored key on the basketball court. We can put a mascot in the middle of it, and even the signage. And I get that, you know, you might want to order that up front, but I mean, what a great opportunity for the first group of kids that go to that school to be part of naming, like leaving a legacy behind and picking their mascot.
Mr. Chrysanthemum?
Luckily, we have the chair of the JVC right here, so I would say continue going on and then make your submissions, and then maybe we can talk to the JVC if we can delay it, but we'll go from there.
Mrs. Keens?
Well, I would agree with Mr. Bellows and Mr. Pappas. This isn't our building. This is a building for the kids. And I think we ought to let them participate more in the whole thing. And I think the mascot is a classic example of where you're gonna tell them, oh, you've gotta be a lion, or you've gotta be a giraffe or something, instead of letting them come up with, you know, something else. I think it's a mistake. I understand the colors. If you wanna make the colors on the building, that's okay, and your signage. But the logo doesn't have to do, I mean, the mascot doesn't have to have anything to do with color scheme.
I have a suggestion. We are also starting an 8th grade superintendent student advisory council, and we're looking to do a 5th grade superintendent student advisory council. We could actually include 5th graders across, right, schools, because we will, or 4th graders, I guess we would do, so that we can have some
What's the matter
voice.
with first graders?
Point of order. Sandy, she's talking.
Well,
Thank
I
you,
get
Sharon.
it, but first graders.
Sandy,
Point of
Sandy.
point of order.
Sandy, the superintendent has the floor. Thank you.
So we do have an opportunity to have some elementary school students participate in it, although, again, we won't know exactly if those would be the students that would be going to Salmon Falls, but at least we'd have some representation of elementary, middle, and high.
So, hearing everybody, I think obviously for the most part, there's a division on what we do next. Obviously with JBC, they need the color scheme. Personally, I would say mascots can change. So I don't know if I'd want to put a logo or mascot versus a logo. That's a JBC discussion to present to us obviously in next month, and we can make a final decision there. I think that there's going to be more contemplation and discussion, but I think we'll have more. We'll talk about it more in JBC. I think it's the next week. But valid points by everybody. Thank you. Moving on now to initial assessment reports conditions. You know, it's been a long day. Just please remind me.
David is fine.
David, thank you. I'm trying to remember the last name, and I'm just like, I'm gonna murder it. So, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, esteemed members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, viewing us online. So these last 6, I posted these assessments online for the board members and for the public to view, so I'm gonna try to be as concise as I possibly can. These last six assessments finalize my initial review of our schools. Now, the plan is to compare notes with the principals. We're gonna meet this month, and then come back in November collectively, all of us in the same room, to collectively agree on, or have a discussion at least about 5-year capital plan, right? That's nested in our strategic plan that requires a comprehensive assessment of our facilities. So with all these schools listed, we looked at HVAC equipment, boilers, controls, thermostat, building management system, air quality monitors, safety and compliance, carbon monoxide detectors, smoke detectors, and then maintenance considerations. Because we are assessing school buildings, we've also looked at classroom equipment, library, gymnasium, cafeteria, nurse office, and then technology integration. And so I am, before I jump into the first school, which is Gunnick, just because I finished the initial assessment, that doesn't mean that the assessment of our schools is done, right? This is a continuous process, and as long as we have planned before it's time to propose our capital plan, we're going to be reassessing these facilities. And so for Gunnick, this building is ADA compliant. Exterior is made out of fire-struck brick. It has 2 boilers. The initial assessment reveals generally positive condition with some areas needing attention. The kitchen is small but functional, equipped with new appliances. Gymnasium doubles as multi-purpose room with well-maintained but hard flooring. The playground is well-designed but requires some maintenance, such as fence realignment, and some of the old junk needs to be removed. Classrooms have new vinyl flooring, but there's need for dust management and protective chair pads. The boiler room requires tension belt replacement, and some classrooms lack convenient water access. Now, when I was there, I got the sense that the building is appreciated for its historical significance. So those are 2 buildings, right, joint. One is constructed in 1986 and the other one in 1890s. But even though there's this appreciation for historical significance, I feel like there's still some need for maintenance, specifically concerns with water leaks from the ceiling, HVAC unit upgrade that needs to be made, and then recommendation for revision of a cleaning schedule, and lastly, the need to purchase some classroom supplies. That's all I have on Gunnick.
Is there any questions on Gunnick, Mr. Kusimano?
Would your leaks coming from your ventilation system, I would take a look if you're injecting humidity from the boiler system or your HVAC. Basically, it's a mixture of either too much heat, too much cold, and then that's what's causing your plungers failures.
Will do, thank you, sir.
Any other comments or questions regarding Donnie? Seeing none, David, you may go to Reach.
Okay, reach, so the building is ADA compliant, exterior is made out of CMU, that's a cement masonry unit. The boilers, they feed through East Rochester School, there are 2 of them. Initial assessment states that the facility is in good condition. The school has a dedicated IT server, office environment is sufficiently ventilated, though it has older carpet that may need minor replacement. The hardware is most of the hardware is in acceptable shape, roof is well maintained, and both the HVAC and plumbing system function properly. We do need to address portions of the playground to make it more suitable for all the children, and that will be something that we put on our 5-year development, 5-year capital plan. Overall, I think the school is in good shape. There's nothing to add to that assessment. Nothing else to add to that assessment.
Any questions or comments from the committee regarding Reach? Mr. Jones?
Where it says for technology, the Honeywell, what's the Honeywell system? What is that used for? Is that the one where they reach out to parents or to alert parents? Is that the Honeywell?
That used to be the Honeywell system.
Yeah,
This
well,
would
no,
be the control on the HVAC.
No, but this,
It's a pneumatic.
under
It's a
the
year.
technology infrastructure, that,
Sorry, Chair.
Yep, Steve.
It would involve your environmental control system so they can remotely access it, restart them, and change the settings from here so they don't have to commute there.
It's like our disk system that we can monitor remotely from our offices.
okay.
But it is an older equipment.
Just to remind you, Honeywell used to be the reverse 911 system that they used.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
So what would it take to update that to what the other schools have?
I can find it. It's a great
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yeah, the whole district used to be Honeywell, high school, middle school, all of them, everything was Honeywell. We phased it out because of the issue with only being able to use one particular vendor, and it was a closed system, so we over time phased out Honeywell in the other buildings
Okay.
and have like an open source, right?
Yep, but it was proprietary versus open.
So now we've gone more to open source in the other buildings.
Just to kind of explain that whole thing, it's control environmental from here, but you're gonna have to use a backnet system, I would assume, based off of what your RTU unit is. I'd work with Mr. Letourneau. If we are going to invest in a better one or upgrade the Honeywell system, then I would recommend that we start standardizing, but open source. So we're not stuck with one company coming here charging whatever prices.
Which was already a continuation of the
yeah.
current efforts.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no one else, East Rochester School, sir.
East Rochester School. The school is ADA compliant. Exterior is made out of fire-strap brick. Has 2 boilers. Initial assessment states the facility is in generally good condition. Well-equipped nursing station, gymnasium. Also serves as cafeteria. Features agent VCT tile flooring that will need replacement in a few years. The kitchen is highly regarded by the staff. It's probably the best kitchen we have in the district. Though the pantry walls may need some resealing in the near future. Mechanical systems include 2 modern boilers and generator with an easy connection switch, but the electrical system is complex and it requires professional assistance for troubleshooting. The athletic facilities have slightly bent basketball hoops. Playground requires additional bark mulch for safety. And overall, I think addressing gym flooring and playground maintenance will enhance schools' functionality and safety.
Any questions on East Rochester from the group? Mr. Jones?
Well, bringing up the basketball hoops, I know that our playgrounds are stated, I think no one's supposed to be on them, I think half hour after school. Do we have issues with our playgrounds being used when school out, after school, do you know? Because I believe that's what they're posted, they're not open to like the public, like how they're called. Is it, what is it? Or it could be, or something, but I almost, can we just look into that and then just see if we are having an issue with
vandalism or
Or
whatever?
just people being on the playgrounds when they shouldn't be, so obviously we can address that with the city. And make sure it's,
I'll look into it. You can tell they're being banned from after hours use.
no, and I get that, I wanna make sure it's, because we put a lot of money into these playgrounds, and it comes out of our budget, so I wanna make sure that where if they're being used and they're being vandalized, that we can try to address it the best we can.
Any
Mr.
I can
Foreman.
tell you Maple Street School, because I live right there, is definitely being used after hours. I've gone to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock and heard basketballs bouncing. Now, I don't know what the hell they're shooting at, because it's dark. Same, yeah, I'm not getting up at 11 o'clock, so. So I know those are being used after hours. I know since you've redone the parking lot, not so much, because the lighting is way better. So a lot of the kids aren't going, but I can guarantee Maple Street School is being used after 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Is there anything?
I have a question about the gym flooring, and you guys may not know, but when East Rochester School was renovated, was the gym flooring part of that renovation project, or was that
I don't know.
in the original?
That's the original structure.
The original. Can you give an example of some of the concerns with the gym flooring, just since we're looking at flooring now for our new elementary school?
While he's researching that, Mr. Pappas had his hand up and
He's on the committee if you want to ask him.
you had it beforehand, so I'll just.
Just to point out, I remember when we focused on, or when we renovated the Garnet School playground, it was done with the intention of having it open to the public, because there are no public parks in that region of the city. And in fact, there aren't many public parks in the city, period, so they use the schools as public parks and playgrounds for families to use. That doesn't mean that that's who's using it, certainly, but I'm just pointing out that
Yeah, sometimes.
that was the intent when we renovated the program.
What I will do, I will get with you offline and share my notes with you then. I can't seem to find it right now,
That's fine.
but we had plenty of discussion. Now, this isn't, when I say, this is several years from now that's gonna need replacement. You can already tell.
Yeah, and it's probably because of the age, if it wasn't for the renovation, it's
Correct.
the original, then it's probably aging out.
Mr. Bello, sorry. Dave, did you have anything else? So. Mr. Bello, did you have your hand up?
My basketball team practiced there this winter, but I realized my concerns about the gym are less about the state of the floor, more just the dimensions of the room. It's really not a full-size basketball court, but that's got nothing to do really with the condition of the floor, so, sorry.
We just want to make that. Mr. Bellows. Mr. Downs.
So, back to the playgrounds, I'm concerned that if we open these up to the public, I see what our public playgrounds look like, and we cannot put our kids at risk at what I see at the Commons, at the one by the high school, at the Vines. We have to make sure these are strictly for our students, because we'd be putting them at risk if we open them up to the public.
So I think obviously when that is reviewed, what our current procedure is, then that's something we can have more of a discussion at the next meeting. But again, everyone has very good valid points on this. Anything else on East Rochester?
Okay.
Moving to McClellan Elementary School.
McClellan, the building is ADA compliant, exterior is fire struck brick. It has 3 condensing boilers. The initial assessment is that the school is in good overall condition, obviously with the durable fire struck brick that requires minimal maintenance like most of those buildings. The heating system consists of 3 boilers that are somewhat inefficient and complicated to operate, suggesting a potential need for replacement in the future. The building features a mezzanine addition and a well-designed multi-purpose room. All classrooms, despite their 25-year-old VCT floors, are well maintained. Kitchen is adequately ventilated and heated. Playground requires new edging due to some deteriorating wood. Overall, while the facilities are in good shape, addressing the boiler system, playground maintenance, and painting will enhance positive school environment.
Mr. Jones? Steve, you're up there.
Are those gas boilers? Natural gas or diesel or?
I didn't make that note, I'll find out.
Okay. I would just recommend, that we look into the current incentives for energy efficiency, either through the gas company or the electric company, and then bring us a return on investment. This might be something we do, since this school seems, out of your report, that's one of their major issues, and it's a heating issue. You know, we all know living up here, if we lose the heat, we're gonna lose a lot of other things. Just bring us how much it would be, and then how quickly we can get it, and any incentives that we can receive from either the electric or the gas company.
Mrs. Herman?
I don't, if I remember correctly, I think it's both. I think there's maybe a hot water boiler, and then there's also
Steam.
steam, maybe?
So
Or
you might be able to double tag the
Yeah.
incentives, one from the electric, one from the gas company, which then might cut our overall cost down, and then make it a quick return on investment and lighten the load on the taxpayers.
Anything else from the committee? Is there anything, Mr. Pepper?
Just add, we had a 5-year building committee, we had a tour of all the schools, and when we looked at that, I want to say that one of the boilers was replaced, but, or maybe two, and one was old, and I'm almost positive they're natural gas.
Yep, and there's a backup for our cistern. All right, moving to Maple Street Magnet School.
Okay. Maple Street.
And just David,
I'll
one
promise
second.
up.
One second, David, you're okay. Shawnee, if you do have anything, just hit the raise the hand button, okay? That's what I'm looking for when I look
Okay.
over. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm good so far.
Thank you. David, you're all
Okay,
set.
thank you. So Maple Street Magnet School is ADA compliant, exterior is fire striped brick, has one boiler at the end of its life. Initial assessment, the building is generally sturdy, with several areas needing improvement. The playground is currently designated for recreational use, and a new stone retaining wall is currently being constructed for safety. Office areas are air conditioned. However, classrooms have only portable floor AC units. Approximately 80% of the flooring is new, but the existing bulging floors require replacement, probably with an LVT product. The HVAC system currently consists of fin tube heating units, and the aging boiler is approximately 30 years old, lacks redundancy, necessitating a backup system. So this is the only school with only one boiler in a district. The kitchen is small and it's uncomfortable, especially during the first few months. They have a triple door freezer in that kitchen that generates a lot of excess heat. The action items include upgrading the HVAC system, planning for redundant boiler, and improving kitchen ventilation, and finally replacing the flooring.
Any questions from the group? Seeing none, moving on to Rochester Middle School.
RMS, ADA compliant, exterior is made out of CMU, it has 3 condensing boilers, and generally good condition, though several areas require attention. HVAC system has been updated, but there are issues with temperature consistency, specifically in the music rooms, and there's a burnt smell in the conference room that needs investigation. Other notable concerns include the need of all the equipment removal, sealing, leak inspections, and repairs to the outdoor areas, such as tree trimming and fence maintenance. Additionally, the kitchen requires optimization with relocation of their steam oven.
Any questions from the committee? Perfect. Thank you, David,
Thank you.
for all those assessments for the schools. Moving on to William Allen School. I know there was a presentation at the full board. Annie, I'll move it over to you now if there's anything you need to elaborate on that for the operations.
Thank you. We've just linked the same presentation. I know Mr. Reichert will make just a few comments, and then I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, and I will be as brief as I can. Obviously, I talked last month at the City Hall about William Allen and common categories that we were required to either maintain, upgrade, or replace. At William Allen, in order to ensure all of our spaces are equitable for our students, educators, and staff. And to just very quickly recap that presentation, we ran analysis on our purchase orders, which showed that we were spending 30% more on William Allen than we do on other schools similar size. So we had 1 year expenditures from September 6, 2023 through September 6, 2024. Then we ran fiscal comparison for repair and maintenance costs, so FY23, 1 July 2022 through 30 June 2023, which showed that at Chamberlain we spent $19,880.98. At Gonick, we ended up spending $54,899.43. And then our expenditure at William Allen was $145,871. And then finally, we looked at our 3-year trend of expenditures, and we've noticed that we spend almost 70% more on William Allen than we did on other schools similar size. And so those were those hard expenditures that I talked about last month. Facility, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, right? We noticed that we had concerns with structural integrity of that school. We had a number of cracks in the flooring that we would have to address. Building is not ADA compliant. We would have to install elevator, ramp, potentially widen the doorways. Currently, there's no wheelchair access to the cafeteria in that building. Electrical system is the oldest one in the district. The parts are no longer available to us. There's plumbing issues. The sewer ejector pump on the lower level causes persistent odor issues. The below grade wall sweats. Last year, the building circulation pump self-destructed. There's the storm weather prevention system that drains into the pond in the middle of our playground. We obviously have issues with the parking and the drop-off zone. There's no good solution to it. The building was designed in the 60s when people walked to school. And so I'm bringing all this up because I think I just owe you this information as a committee. The extensive list of all required upgrades combined with associated costs of close to $3 million to go after all these initiatives and to fulfill our promise to modernize our schools and ensure safety of everyone in our community. I think it is clear to me that to continue this investment of this outdated facility is impractical.
Turning over to the committee, Mr. Dents.
Well, I guess I'll make the motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation and the operations to close William Allen School at the end of the 24-25 school year.
So the motion by Mr. Downs is to close the William Allen School, or the recommendation by operations to the full board to close William Allen School in the next school year. Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
We have a second by Mrs. Harrington. Any discussion? Mr. Guzman.
So if we close this school, could you reallocate those funds and bring in some of the concerns that you brought on that sheet and get those up to date quicker? As if you were to stay on the current track with your current budget, we're going into next year, those funds would be returned back to you in one less school. You could reallocate those funds to take care of the boilers, the aging electricity, and many of the other issues that you addressed in your report.
As best as I understand, it's an easy transfer of the line of accounting from one school to the other.
I'll take that one. So that would be the budget process. So we'd have to really look at the budget process before we can answer that question, but the intent would definitely be, which is one of our focus areas in our strategic plan, is to focus on modernizing our schools. But I would hesitate for us saying where the money will be allocated until we fulfill our budget process.
Any other comments or questions on that motion? Mr. Bellows?
All right, thank you, sir. On slide 10 on the presentation about William Allen School, the fourth circle there, it says redistricting, opportunity to redistrict once instead of a second time in under 3 years. What is that referring to, the under 3 years?
Thank you for that question. If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So William Allen is really the one school, when we look at all of the elementary schools, that has the most significant signs of aging, and it's pretty much understood that this would be the next school to close. And so if we were to wait, let's say, 2 or 3 years down the road to close it, we would have to redistrict because we'd be closing a school. And so in order to avoid the redistricting again, because we have to go through it this year because of the opening of the new school, that was my recommendation too. That was one of the 7 recommendations for.
Follow-up, please.
A different question, but in considering the class sizes that would be a result of closing William Allen, right now, is all of our instruction happening in learning spaces that are adequate for the nature of the instruction? And along those lines, are all of our services being provided in spaces that are adequate for the services that are being provided? Was that taken into account when we figured those class sizes?
Yes. So my understanding is that there are some pull-out spaces that we would like to make sure that they're more equitable. And so going into next year with the redistricting, the opening of Salmon Falls, and the potential closing of William Allen and School Street, we will make sure that those pull-out spaces are equitable across our district.
Thank you.
Mr. Fusimano?
I just want to assure again, we're losing 0 staff with the, if we vote to push this through the closure, correct?
Everyone will have a home here if we close William Allen at the end of the school year.
Seeing no other hands up, roll call vote, please.
Member Bollier?
Yes.
Member Cusimano?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Back to our, man, I just lost you, John. Thank you, sir. Is there anything else in William Allen School that David or anyone want to report?
No.
Thank you. Moving to building summer report. Back to David, I'm assuming.
Thank you. Sure. Okay, so district window film installation with Surface Dynamics LLC. This was the Safe School Grant through Safer Connections. The cost of it was $489,236.95. The installation is completed at all schools except Spalding High School. The plan is to address Spalding High School actually next week, and we will film all windows accessible via 6-foot ladder as we've done in other schools. And coordination with high school has been made to facilitate that upgrade.
Any questions on the district window film upgrade? Moving on to district camera upgrade.
District camera, this was dual settlement money. The status update, Maple School, McClellan, RMS, Chamberlain, Gunnick, and William Allen are done. Now, none of those are at 100%. There are still few cameras that have to be brought online, but they are all operational, all online, and obviously the new school will get its cameras as it's being built. This is being, again, done by A3 Communications. Installation's progressing well. We met with them last week, and they are still promising that everything with the exception of high school and Credo will be done by Christmas.
Any questions, Mr. Downs?
I know we talked about it a little bit last month about the cameras going, the police department having access to review them for safety. Where do we stand on that? Like, because obviously I understand we gotta be careful of the whole privacy rights, and I'm just curious where we stand on that.
So we talked about the capability. The capability is there. I'm not done reviewing all the policies to make a recommendation to the superintendent. But I'll have it by next month's committee.
Perfect.
I know we are also installing the cameras in some of our offices and cabinet at the SAU, and we would have the capability of providing the police department with access immediately if we needed to from the SAU office.
And if I may, I also want to answer last month's question about cameras in the cafeterias. Mr. Bells might have asked that question. So if in schools, if the cafeteria primary function is to serve meals, then we would have cameras installed in those spaces. Examples, Spalding High School. If we're using it for multi-purpose room, gymnasium, cafeteria, something else, then we won't have the ability to do that.
All right, seeing no hands, moving now to Spalding High School ventilation.
Okay, so ventilation, after the historical review and request approval of the ESSER-funded construction project, and then obtaining notice to proceed with the project, we ended up with two project options: convert steam and add central ventilation with dehumidification, and add dehumidification to the north wing. Initially, that project had 4 other options. We just didn't have enough money. Some of them were dehumidification to the auditorium, band and chorus renovation, and gym and shower renovation. We will be pursuing, hopefully, those projects in the near future, but we'll obtain money in some other way. This project took 2 summers and 2 winters, and some of the work was done prior to that due to the planning efforts. It brought dehumidified fresh air to the whole building, except for the auditorium and gymnasium. It got rid of the old heating system and the inefficient unit vents. It brought radiant heat panels in the ceilings, so it's quiet and it doesn't take floor space. And now all the room is what we call fresh air conditioned. Comes off the room, and it goes to every room within the entire building. The steam is gone. We put in 3 new high efficiency condensing boilers for hot water to heat the school, and we essentially ended up with a state-of-the-art project. We did receive positive feedback from the educators and students. The system is quiet, it doesn't make noise, it's comfortable, and we can maintain temperature steady temperature as we see pleased.
Mr. Guzman.
The 4 other options that we didn't go down, I know it was probably brought up prior to me coming to this board. The question is did we just open ourselves to costing us more money since they were already in there? And having to redo some of the work, since those options could be later on upgraded, would it have been cheaper to do them now? While the project was open, the roof was open, the ceiling tiles were open, instead of doing it later, which is now gonna cost the taxpayers more money, which will actually make the proposals cost more.
Obviously, I don't have an answer to that. But so band and chorus, for instance, right? That was one of the options, and we did use. We funded that project ourselves. So
When we have projects like that, just, especially as long as I'm here, just bring that, I know you weren't here, bring those ahead, especially to the chair, because paying for something now is gonna be cheaper than paying for something later, especially if we write the contract and it's a 2 or 3 year, it's still gonna be cheaper paying it now, and we can find the funds, or we can ask the superintendent to go to the city and get the funds, instead of wasting more taxpayers' money later on.
I couldn't agree more.
Anything else by the committee? All right. Spalding band and chorus.
Band and chorus. So This was a bonded money and it was design built for 1.5 million. As far as the scope of work, this included demolition of existing floors, walls, and ceiling and HVAC systems, replacing flooring with new subflooring and LVT, construction of new walls to include 2 practice rooms, small music storage and offices, addition of new ACT ceiling tiles, infill window areas, installation of the new HVAC system and mini splits for the office, as well as acoustic sound absorbing panels. So the only mod we did to this original project was to not proceed with the infill windows, and instead we decided to go with motorized blinds, which was requested by the instructor, and it makes a lot of sense. So this is 99% complete. I would like to say complete, so I don't have to brief this next month. The startup of the HVAC system was done, was commissioned after operational checks were being completed. Most of the controls are online. The only thing we're waiting on is the few more controls to come online and then a few motorized blinds to come in. And we are very pleased with what they've done with our abandoned cars. If you haven't been there, please stop by.
Any questions from the committee? I'm just gonna ask, maybe you can bring some photos at the next meeting so we can all see it. And yeah, sure. Moving on to Rochester Middle School bleachers.
Okay, I almost forgot. This is a heads up. The construction for RMS bleachers is gonna go on 18 November. That's all I have to report.
Are you sure? Any questions on that? You gave us an update. Hopefully there's none. Letter F, other. Does anybody have any other? Mr. Guzmanos.
As it's been a hot topic around the nation, especially last night, or the other night in the vice president debate, I'd like you to spend the next couple months working with the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, reviewing all policies regarding security, any policies that need to be updated based off of the DHS guidance, bring to the appropriate committee, and any recommendations that we need for operations and building, bring to this committee.
Just point of clarity, though it is operational understanding, that would be a direction to the governance committee for a policy.
Yeah, that's Mr. Pappas, that's why I said bring it to him, but any infrastructure or security that we will need to be bringing, especially that this is a hot topic and we do need to secure our children for upgrades in our schools, I'd bring to this committee.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any other? I do have just 2. Transportation's now under operations, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have a transportations report? Usually in whatever committee it was in the past, we'd have like, here's the buses, here's how many people take the buses. So.
I was not aware of that.
So we'll need, you understand what I'm asking. So next month, we would like to have that on this agenda. And just could we get on the commitment that we would have these agendas for at least Monday, the latest?
One other,
Yeah.
the other thing is, what else report did we get as well? It was that, but
Yeah,
also I think the numbers,
services.
the student numbers. Attendance, there you go, attendance would fall under, and
Would attendance fall under this one? That still would be an instruction piece.
would it fall under instruction? Okay.
Yeah, or whatever that is now, teacher. Mrs. Harrington? Yeah, Mrs. Harrington.
The other report is enrollment. That might fall under operations, I don't know.
First classroom
Enrollment.
size in order to.
It's not attendance, it's enrollment for buildings.
Yeah.
Okay.
For building. Yes.
This pertains more to how it affects me and impacts me from a finance perspective. Your opinion on, so Monday was the 30th of the month, would you rather receive these reports reflective of a different date, or?
We'll wait for the finance committee to answer that. That's a very good question that I would love to put at that. As they know I will.
I will remember to ask.
Yes.
Mr. Guzman.
And I know you got a lot on your plate,
So why don't you add some more?
I am. So, no, let's not finance. When you decide and we redistrict and that's all approved, is really looking, I know you have some ideas and plans to how to lighten the load on Portland Street. just bring the recommendations here, or whatever your thoughts are, whatever you guys decide to choose, so we can at least let the public know ahead of time, and we can have a chance to review it.
We'll do.
Anything else under other? Moving over to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this committee? I'm looking at no public. We will move on. Close public comment.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrington. I have a motion by Mrs. Harrington, a second was Mr. Bellows, or Mr. Downs, sorry. I mean, I could have said anybody's name at this point. Roll call vote, please.
Member Bollier?
Yes.
Member Cusimano?
Yes.
Member Bellows?
Yes.
Member Downs?
Yes.
Member Harrington?
Yes.
Member McGowan?
Yes.
We are adjourned.